For the international perspective on today's tariff announcement, let's bring in CBS News correspondent Ramy Inocencio, who's following developments for us from London. Standing outside the Bank of London, Ramy, good morning to you. How does the UK feel about this? Because it seems to be the only place waiting to articulate how it might respond.
Sure. Well, here, the mood outside the Bank of England, Errol, is one of anxiety, and really across the UK. I'm just looking at markets right now. Markets here are falling here in the UK as well as in Europe. Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs will definitely be testing the storied special relationship that we've known between the U.S. and the U.K. Ever since World War II, right? Not just political allies through time, but economic partners too. And the British economy is now on the line. It is very fragile. The U.S. is the U.K.'s biggest trading partner in the world, with about $300 billion in imports as well as exports. And it is British exports like machinery, pharmaceuticals and manufactured goods that could be hit. And if you need help with names, think of the likes of Rolls-Royce, for example, for engines, for F-35 fighter jets. Jaguars, Land Rovers, Pharma, AstraZeneca for treatments for cholesterol and cancer, and Burberry for its luxury products. These could all be hit, which could then hit Britain's economy, again, already fragile. And, you know, Errol, it might be unusually bright and sunny today here in London, but the mood definitely is grim. Our CBS News team talked to Brits this morning here outside the Bank of England. Here's one of those people right now. Take a listen.
Foolishness. In a word, foolishness. I'm a professional economist, financial economist. We've known since the 1700s that free, open trade creates growth, creates economic prosperity, creates employment, and this is a move in the opposite direction.
You heard it from at least one of them there. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer here has been in touch with President Trump, we know, to try and get an exemption from those tariffs. They're calling it a carve-out here. But from what's known at this very moment, Errol, their talks have not helped.
And Ramy, we all know the UK separated itself economically from the European Union, so it's a different story. But how is the EU planning to respond to this? What is its position?
Sure. Well, they're going to get it worse. The EU is even more exposed than the UK to that potential pain because the EU exports much more in terms of goods to you guys in the U.S. Vehicles, a massive European export to the tune of about $200 billion in 2023 for the most recent data that we have. Talking about vehicles, got to talk about Germany, right? The U.S. is Germany's biggest car export market. Benzes, Beamers, Bugs, VWs, European luxury goods, too, another major export to the U.S., about $100 billion a year. We can think of French and Italian makers, not just goods, but also champagnes and wines. And then there's European pharma, another massive export. Ireland, just across the way, expected to be one of the worst hit countries. Pharma is actually Ireland's biggest export. And if you think of U.S. companies' names like Pfizer and Eli Lilly, they have manufacturing hubs there. And a new YouGov poll reflects European anxiety across the continent. Turns out that a majority of Europeans from this poll just yesterday want to hit the U.S. back with tariffs. In Germany and France, perhaps no surprise, nearly 70% of people polled want to strike back. In Italy, it's more than half. Denmark, turns out, it's highest at about 80%. Perhaps there's something playing in there from Trump's fixation with his desire for Greenland. But European leaders say they do not want to retaliate, Errol, but they say they will if they have to, and they say that they have plans to make the U.S. hurt too.
Really interesting note there, Ramy, about Denmark. We'll have much more on all of this at the bottom of the hour for our viewers. Ramy Inocencio, live in London. Thanks so much.